Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris.
Hey Chris, are you like hungover, mate? I mean, you look pretty far gone and you are wearing your prettiest shirt like you've been out on the lash all night. I mean, no judgment, except the whole you being in charge of a vehicle thing, because believe it or not, I could actually have a lower opinion of you if it turns out you're a drink driver. And yes, that does include the day after while you still have a zillion gallons of booze in your system. No one has anywhere to be so important that they can't be sober whilst piloting a 2-ton death machine. If you've got no way to get there that isn't driving yourself, either don't drink before or don't fucking go. But hopefully, your head just hurts from all the emptiness. This has been a PSA from a drunk piece of shit who's literally never driven at all.
From New York,
Westchester County.
It's 8:30:23.
Is it? That is such useful information, Chris. I don't think we could possibly absorb the information that you are going to be imparting to us if we didn't know the exact time and date you were saying something really fucking stupid. I mean, without that precise information, we might actually think it was smart by accident. But since you always tell us and it always has no bearing on the things that follow, we know for sure it was as pointless and stupid as everything else you say. Thanks, Chris.
And people, they're still not getting it.
I know, right? All these fools everywhere going around believing a lie that is so obviously false. These idiots, they actually believe, and get this right, that they own the whiskey that's in their houses and businesses, etc. I mean, seriously, for years I've been explaining otherwise, and yet I still don't get oceans of the shit on my doorstep every day. It's like they aren't even listening or aware that I even exist. Although it can't be that. I mean, it's handsome, famous, and good at the sex, just like the t-shirt, buy now. Clearly, you are just all pretending it's not true.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, I never know what you mean, mate. It's just so damn entertaining to hear you say it. Now, just in case you think that that's some admission of not being able to understand what you said, that's different. The things you say are simple and very, very stupid. But I do give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that you mean something that's way smarter than what you actually said. It's just you aren't bright enough to actually do that.
All right. Adelia, is that the storm that's down in Florida that's falling apart, whatever it's...
I will never understand that. If these big storms are so bad, why do they name them? That's the worst thing you can do, because it's like having an animal you would otherwise want to get rid of. But now, you've named it, and you start ascribing personality traits to it, and before you know it, you don't even want to get rid of it. You know, until it destroys all your stuff and leaves you homeless and naked in your own driveway. I really should stop adopting geese.
I think it's a cat 2 now, or whatever it may be.
It's a cat squared? That's even worse than the laser gooses. My god, these people need to get out of there before it starts pissing on all their rugs at the same time and scratching up every piece of furniture in a 5-mile radius.
And I'll get into Hawaii in a minute. I got to dance around that part because of Google.
I'm pretty sure that unless you're going to say something super fucked up that's just not true, they don't really stop you saying anything. What they might do is not pay you to spout ignorant bullshit. But that's not the same as being stopped. And hell, why don't you just get yourself a sponsorship then, if that is your worry? I'm sure there are plenty of shady companies that would love to hawk their shite products to your idiot audience.
They're still not getting it. The only thing that is moving
is that one episode of Futurama with the dog. Literally everything else on Earth should only elicit the emotion of enraged befuddlement. Of course, that's only true if you're a flat earther, where every concept you are ever presented with will make you angry because of how confused you are. And you are so very confused, aren't you, Crisps?
Is in the sky. You're standing still.
Wait. The only things that move are in the sky. I mean... no, for so many reasons. For starts, what if I'm in a car right now? Preferably with someone else driving, because much like if someone was walking and listening to you, they might end up in a river, whether intentionally or by sheer force of brain damage. Also, you know, there's the whole point you're trying to make, but I'm sure we will get to that.
The Weather Channel shows a hurricane that is floating over land.
I mean, floating is a way to put it, I guess, but yeah, Weather moves in all sorts of directions, but so do we, in a more consistent direction. Both of these things can be true at the same time, because they fucking are. The funny thing is, you sit there and bang on about the things that we don't understand, whilst consistently demonstrating that you don't understand literally anything about anything.
And can predict it 4 or 5 days away.
Oh my god, are you serious? Do you know how they predict weather patterns? Like, one of the major tools in how we understand and analyze weather is fucking satellites. You know, one of those things that flat earthers think are fake because they have to for the earth to be flat to make slightly more sense than the no sense it makes. Although that still doesn't move it anywhere close to sense.
But you're standing still.
Yes, I am, but that doesn't mean that the Earth isn't moving. I mean, if I was sat down on a plane, would you say I was sat still? Or would you say I was jumping around the cabin, pooping in the halls and touching people's faces? No, because I'm sat still in the entirely hypothetical situation, because you're damn right I'm going to be completely obnoxious when trapped in a tube with other people. Can't have them wanting to talk to me.
The Earth is still.
Still what exactly? A globe? Spherical? A ball boy? Big chungus? Round and the not flat crew? Of course, any of those will do, but it's certainly not motionless or stationary. I mean, what kind of idiot would think that?
Stationary.
Oh, yeah, right.
You're not going anywhere.
I mean, the funny thing is, he's not wrong, but for the ironically wrong reasons. No, we aren't going anywhere. There's no destination in the universe. It's much like the flat earth argumentation. Yeah, they're saying things and often they believe those things, but they don't go anywhere, aka get anything done, because that's not the point. They are contrarians for its own sake and never stop to consider that maybe if they could use the flat earth ideas to invent something of value, they would immediately grant it some credibility, but will never be able to do that because they both can't and wouldn't bother anyway, because flat earth theory is intellectual laziness of the highest order. Wouldn't you agree?
Okay.
I knew it.
Look at the Weather Channel. What is the only thing that's moving?
That's your argument? That because the Weather Channel displays things relative to the thing that we are all stuck to and is thus the easiest way for people to comprehend their location and where it's headed, that am mean, Earth am flat. My god, man, you will never fail to come up with the stupidest observations that only prove you aren't paying any attention whatsoever. If the Earth isn't moving, but they want you to think so, why wouldn't they just show you that? And if it is moving, you know, like it is, what possible help would it be to show the weather on the globe spinning through space? Because it would look like this. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that's very useful for figuring out whether or not my fucking house is about to get blown down.
Above the land. That's what's moving.
And that's another part of this whole deal. Most satellites are geostationary, aka they are in an orbit that keeps them relatively still compared to the rotation of the Earth. Although it's likely not perfect, it's certainly good enough to watch the weather on. And the real question it throws up is, how do they get there? I mean, sure, you could say they're faked, but then how do they manage to predict the weather with them? So okay, then they are real, but they just put them there. But if they are stuck to something up there, I thought it moved, but we didn't, so it must be still. But then without an orbit, they're just going to fall back down to Earth. But if they have an orbit and the Earth is still, then they can't appear motionless because they aren't geosynced to anything. Do you see how the more you think about it, the less sense this shit makes?
Nothing else.
All right, calm down, mate. I can tell that you're confused, you know, 'cause mad. But yeah, we aren't expecting to see anything else move when you have a camera literally placed in such a way that it appears motionless. But that doesn't mean that it is. That's the problem with basing your conclusions on superficial observations. You have to actually learn what's going on and not make assumptions based on the basest of views. Otherwise, you'll end up saying stupid things like insects grow out of dead things, or of course, that the Earth is flat, and the dumbest of them all, that all British people like tea. I mean, come on. I don't like it so much, I leave the letter out of the word British.
The land is still underneath those clouds.
I seriously don't know what he's expecting to see, and I don't think he does either. I mean, maybe he's going to say what it's supposed to look like, but unfortunately for him, what it's supposed to look like is the observation that we have. It doesn't change just because he thinks he understands how things work. And the people who do know how it all works are perfectly happy with the footage like this, and the idea that the Earth is not flat. I wonder why. Probably because conspiracy and evil, am I right, fellow flat, yet somehow big brainheads.
It's not moving. You're not moving.
You're not moving. I'm sorry, whenever someone shouts something at me, I can't help but respond in kind. But yeah, you're right. At one scale and wrong at another. You can be still from one perspective and moving from another. It just depends how you are looking at it and what exactly it is you are trying to say. Back to my jumping around on the plane analogy, if someone asked me to sit still, me smart-assedly saying, but we am on plane, therefore I cannot sit still, would be fucking stupid and quite rightly get me thrown off, probably at cruising altitude. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a win-win for me.
Nobody's moving.
So I definitely left that in because I think it's funny that he said nobody's moving and then he didn't move for a really long time. I mean, look at him go. He's still going. I don't think he's gonna stop. I mean, he has stopped, but I mean, like, stopping. And he's unstopped from being stopped. And has it always smelled of toast in here?
How can a car melt?
What? I did not edit that. I swear to God, this is entirely his next point in context to the other. I mean, I'm super happy he's moved on from the last one because it was just awful. But at least build up to it. I mean, for God's sake. Now I have to go look up melting cars. Look at that. Are you happy now? It's horrific. Poor little guy.
Okay. Mostly made of aluminum, especially the engine block. That's made of aluminum.
Are you saying that a car can't melt because aluminium, or what? I mean, that stuff totally melts. That's kind of how we get it to be cars at all. If we couldn't melt that shit, I'm pretty sure we couldn't do half the crap that we do with it.
You know what the burning point of aluminum is? 1200 fucking degrees.
You mean melting point, right? You can burn it at literally any temperature. Well, at least you can leave burns on it, because that's usually just material from other shit. And 12,000? Not in real money. It's 660 Celsius. And yeah, okay, that's not even that high for a metal. There's loads of different metals that have far higher melting points. And it's all the more amusing that you even bring them up, because while you are a total melt, you don't really seem to have much of a point. Zing.
Okay. So you're telling me a grass fire, a wildfire, is going to burn a car and incinerate it?
Okay, aside from the fact that we have gone way off topic here, but fine, it's more interesting anyway. Okay, it depends. First off, how did you know that there was a car if it was incinerated? Probably because it wasn't. It was probably burned down by the very components that you are talking about. At least if it was, as you say, just a grass fire. But if it was a forest fire, would you look at that? Yep, that could melt the shit out of an aluminium engine or whatever. And it wouldn't be like your lot to play down what something is to make your point stronger than it actually is or something like that. So let's just chalk that up to ignorance. Actually, that works for pretty much everything you say.
And nothing else around it is burnt.
Dude, you can't just start bringing up some anecdote about burnt cars that don't burn without, like, explaining what the hell you're actually referencing. We don't all live on the everything and conspiracy side of the tracks, so maybe give us a link or throw an image on screen, and if you don't know how to do that, print some shit out, I don't know. But don't expect me to just believe what you are saying is reflective of reality, because with no reasonable way to figure out what exactly you are talking about, I can't know that. Also, I shouldn't have to do your work for you. I mean, come on, I'm a YouTuber. I don't know anything about work.
It's just like the, remember the firestorm out in California? Yeah, I did a video on that too. I don't know how many videos ago. Did a video on that. Across the street, the trees are intact, everything's nice. This car is totally charred, you know?
Is it just like that? Or is it that? What are you actually talking about? Who the fuck knows? And what the hell has any of this got to do with the fact that the Earth spins and moves through space? Is it because they're linked by one thing, that being?
Doesn't make any sense.
Ah, I see. Although, are you sure maybe one of them makes just a little bit of sense?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, fair enough. And hey, at least we can go out agreeing on something.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel, Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the...